Download the SVP TV app right now. Check us out every Tuesday on Comcast Cable, Channel 17, 8:30 p.m. And we are live every Friday on Facebook Live, 6 o'clock in the evening. You've got a question? Our attorneys have the answer. So let's talk. Got a question? Our attorneys have the answer. So let's talk law with attorney Daryl O'Neill on the SVP TV network.
Welcome to Talking Law with Daryl O'Neill. I'm your host. I got my main man, Jerome.
What's up, Daryl?
Man, another day in the neighborhood.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Man, you know, it's always amazing, this law thing.
Oh, yeah.
And, I was just talking to you off air about something.
Yeah.
It's amazing that everybody wants to always use the words illegal with no context.
Yes.
And then when you ask for an explanation, what does the word illegal mean? Well, that's what so-and-so said it. And I always thought, and we're going to talk a little about the other stuff.
That's fine. That's fine.
But we always say that the word illegal, you have to have some violation.
Yes.
If there's no violation of a rule, regulation, or a policy, it can't possibly be illegal.
That makes sense to me.
So, but anyway, that's a whole other story. But anyway, we got to give our shout outs,
Yes,
man.
sir.
And before that, if you have Fire Stick, Roku TV, Apple TV, or Apple. It's Fire Stick, Roku, the SVP TV network app, or the Apple TV. That's what I said.
I thought it was
It's
correct.
Apple TV. At Facebook Live or YouTube Live, you can call in and ask any question that you want to ask. I mean, and it don't matter what we're talking about. We'll stop whatever we're talking about and answer your question.
Wow. Can't beat that, man.
Yeah, like we normally do. If you do that, we won't even charge you for that.
Right.
So it's free.
Yes.
So we got to give our shout outs, man. Shout outs to California.
Yes.
Shout outs to Little Rock, Arkansas. Shout outs to West Memphis, Arkansas. Shout outs to Memphis, Tennessee, Shelby County. Shout outs to Mississippi. Shout outs to the family, my family, your family.
Yes.
Shout out to Missouri, the great state of Missouri. All right, Jerome, last week we talked about probate matters.
You know what, Daryl? I just thought about something. I don't know if you want to go there or not. Since treat me as a caller.
Okay. All right, let's do that.
Yeah.
All right, I'll treat you as a caller.
What happens when your state government makes a decision that overrules the local government's regulations? You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
How Nashville just decided what's best for the citizens of Memphis.
Well, you say Nashville. I'm not going to agree with you.
Well,
but it's the legislature.
Well, that's where they're housed at, right?
Housed. But Jerome, and here's why and I get what you're saying. And the problem is not. It's the legislation.
Okay.
Okay. Just like in the United States, right?
Right.
A bill starts in Congress.
Right.
You got to pass Congress, pass the Senate, and then the president signs off on it.
That's good, Daryl, because I had this meeting with my family over the weekend, and we talked about the three branches of government. Mm-hmm. They are the legislative,
right,
the judicial, mm-hmm, and the executive branch.
Correct.
Which is similar to what you're saying now.
Right.
So locally, we have the local government, which would be like Memphis, and then you have the state government is Nashville, but where is the third one?
The judicial branch. It's still a judicial branch.
Still judicial branch.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So, but and I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
In your local area, you will have the legislative branch, which
right,
is your city council and those different people that make the rules.
And your county commission.
County commissions,
yeah,
and all that stuff.
Right.
And then you would have the mayor, who would be the executive branch in your local government.
That's right.
And then your judicial branch is always going to stay your judicial
And
branch.
it's all your judges.
All your judges.
Okay.
And then when you get to the state level, you have that same setup. You have the legislators, you have the governor, and then you have the judicial branch.
Okay.
And here's what happens. local government gets to regulate, it's just like state government. State government gets to regulate their state unless the federal government chooses to engage in that regulation.
Well, they don't choose. They don't choose to. Someone has to petition them
Right.
to take a look.
Right,
You,
but
you see, it seems like it seems as if you were saying they look around the country and say,
No.
"Oh, this is bad."
No.
Someone has to petition.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to get to, Darryl, because there's been a history of overriding our local government with rules and regulations coming out of Nashville, which I think it's just terrible.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Jerome. Okay, and this is where we're gonna differ.
Okay.
I get what you're saying, and I'm not certain I disagree with that. But the state legislators, just like the federal government, has a duty to the entire state or the entire federal
I'm
government.
glad you said that.
And if the state government believes that something that the local government has regulated that is going to negatively impact the rest of the state. For instance, Shelby County or the city of Memphis or Shelby County, I can't remember which one it is, passed an ordinance that basically said if, it's illegal to carry a gun in the city of Memphis.
That's right.
Okay, cannot operate because the state law says you can.
That's right.
And so that means that that law that the city has operated has no effect. It's dormant. It means nothing because the state has spoke about that issue. Just like the federal government. It's the federal government, reason why Roe versus Wade, reason why the federal government, the state locals could not regulate abortion is because the federal government was in the abortion business.
At that time.
At that time.
Right.
Now that the federal government is no longer in the abortion
Right.
the business, then it's been left to
Oh,
each
that sounds
state.
so ugly.
Well, I don't mean it. It does sound.
That sounds ugly when you said
I'm talking
that.
about I'll take that back.
And regulating.
And regulating
yeah.
abortion.
Oh, that sounded ugly.
Or regulating female rights. Is
yeah,
what it
yeah,
really is.
a woman's choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that the federal government is no longer in the business of regulating a woman's choice,
Right.
then that means it falls back to the state.
Yes.
And and now we have all these states, and each state has a different rule and regulation on regulating women's rights.
Okay.
And the same thing happens in each city, in a state. Every state, there's all these cities inside that state.
Right.
And if the city decides that it's going to regulate something in their city, and the state says, no, we're going to regulate that, then their thought process is we're regulating that to control the consistency throughout our state.
It's designed to be that, but is there any other city in Tennessee where the legislature has decided that rules and regulations in the city don't work?
Absolutely.
They tried it in Nashville,
Hey,
and
absolutely.
it got rejected in Nashville.
Nashville ain't done
Home
this.
rule. Remember
Yeah,
what was it? Just
yeah.
recently, they tried to do something with their board.
Exactly.
They
Now,
tried to
and-
expand their board.
Right. No, they
And-
try to take over their board.
Right, and it turned out to be illegal.
And you can't do that.
Right.
That's not what they're trying to do here. They're not trying to take over the city of Memphis board.
What they have determined that they know better how to police our streets and how to protect our citizens than the local government
They're not
does.
trying to, and I just swear, our police are out there. They're out of control. Okay, I don't care what you say. I don't care what nobody say. I deal with those people all the time. Our police department is out of control.
What does that mean?
You can put anything that you want on it.
Okay.
Okay. They are always on some other stuff instead of doing what they're supposed to do.
Okay.
Again, you want to say that the Tyree Nichols thing was an anomaly. It was not.
Oh, that's not where I'm going. I'm not
It's
concerned
not an
about that.
anomaly.
No, I'm not concerned
It was
about
not
that.
an anomaly.
I'm not concerned about that.
I mean, so I'm saying,
Right. I
There
hear
are
you.
scenarios,
I hear you.
and there are more scenarios than not.
I hear you.
Where the police do what they're not supposed to do.
Well, actually, it is related on second thought.
It absolutely is, because
So-
that's where it came from.
So our local officials decided that the contact with the citizens of Memphis
Right.
for minor offenses
Right.
like no tags, tail lights, leads to consequences that we don't want. And so that's why they passed the ordinance
Right.
to stop police officers from making these pretense stops.
It's not pretense, okay?
It is a pretense.
It's not.
It's been determined that these stops are
That's
pretense.
what they say it is.
Who is they? Who is they?
The Memphis boards. I mean,
That's who's supposed to say it.
Yeah, it's okay.
Right.
If we do that, think about what you just said.
Okay.
If you do that, that means if a state police officer stops somebody,
Not state, local.
No. The state police have the right to operate in your local area because they do that all the time.
But don't change this.
No, I'm not changing.
I'm talking about the local police.
Yeah,
court.
but
that's
it's
all I'm talking
saying-
about right now. Then we can expand to that.
No,
but first you got to finish talking about the local police officers.
Okay, hold on. That's why the reason why it was okay. Because if you take what you just said to the conclusion, it is about the local police officers. But the problem with that is if a sheriff does it, if a state trooper does it in the city of Memphis,
Right.
they're in violation of that ordinance.
Well, it can't be because they're not under the ordinance.
Yes, they are. They're law enforcement. The same powers that give the Memphis Police Department are not under some different rule. They're certified by the state of Tennessee.
That's right.
On the post.
That's right.
They're post certified.
That's right. I was post certified.
Exactly.
That's right.
All law enforcement officers are certified as post officers.
That's right.
And that means the state of Tennessee controls their right to be peace officers.
Right.
And
Got
so the city of Memphis cannot control that. And so what they're doing is
Wait a minute, Darren.
the city
Wait a
of
minute.
Memphis cannot control whether or not
Darren,
somebody's a peace officer.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Let's just talk. Let's just talk a little bit.
Okay.
They must have been able to do it because they passed the legislation. And then now afterwards, Nashville comes along and passed something to supersede that. So
Okay.
apparently they had the authority
No, they
to
thought
do
they
it.
had the
No,
authority.
they had it.
Okay.
Because they had to change the rules.
Okay, let's back into that, Jerome.
Okay.
The state of Tennessee has a law that basically said you can carry a weapon.
Oh, no, we're not talking about weapons.
No,
Darren.
no. I'm going somewhere.
I'm
no.
I'm only
No,
concerned about traffic stops
No, let me
that
finish now.
lead to Tyree Nichols being
No,
killed.
let me finish though.
Okay,
Jerome.
go ahead.
You're right. Okay, but that's not what happened.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, you trying to say that the legislator or the local legislators passed this, and because they passed it, they must have been able to pass it. And I don't agree with you on that. Because what they did is the state of Tennessee has passed legislation over and over again about guns. And the city of Memphis, the city council in the city of Memphis passed a ordinance that says you can't carry weapons. Even after the state has a rule that says you can. So you saying just because they did it, they must have believed they could do it. They did it then.
I'm not even looking at that. That's not the one I'm looking. I'm looking at
You're picking
the one.
you're picking and choosing. You're picking and choosing.
I'm saying that they passed the ordinance because of the problems that we're having. The same one you just said, they're out of
That's
control.
why they passed the gun ordinance. It's the same reason.
They passed the gun ordinance because guns are out of control.
Exactly.
But I'm not going there.
Okay.
But there are some states and cities in the city, in the country now where those gun laws have been upheld.
In the local areas?
No, yes, that you can't have these AR-15s, weapons of war, in their cities.
Yeah.
But I'm not going there. I'm simply saying that when they passed the law, it was valid. It was the law of the city.
Yeah.
And then the state comes along and say, your law is null and void.
Yeah,
We're going to take over that. And that burns me up.
Yeah.
Because what it is, it's taxation without representation. It's the same thing. There are 14 states that don't have any black persons on their Supreme Courts. That's ridiculous. This is 2024. We have got to stop this racism and discrimination. I know you don't like to go there, but it's obviously what it is. That
No, I don't
they know
disagree.
better. They're saying we know better of how to control crime than the people who are locally involved in it every single day.
Yeah, I don't think that that's what they're saying.
What are they saying?
Okay, I don't think that's what they're saying.
What are they saying?
Okay. Because I've been black a long time, just like you've been
Right,
black.
right.
And driving while black is a real thing.
Right.
Okay. And not only do white police officers get us for driving while black, it's black police officers
Right.
who do the same thing.
Exactly.
You know, and so, again, another one of those things, police officers are out of control.
Right.
So driving while black is a real thing, whether you're a black police officer or white police officer.
Walking while black.
Walking while black.
Watching TV.
Watching TV black, yeah, is a real thing. Okay.
Eating in a restaurant.
Eating in a restaurant while black is a real thing.
Right,
You know,
okay.
Running a business while black is
Right.
all of that is real.
Right.
But what my point to you is this. The police officers have other rules, and you can't legislate rules. The city of Memphis has policies and procedures manual
Right.
that specifically already say you can't do pretextual stops. You can't do discriminatory stops.
That's
so
right.
now,
That's right. You're absolutely right.
yeah. So now, because the administrator or the director, the police director, can't control their department, we're going to try to legislate it. That is asinine. That's not what we do business in. We can't legislate controlling your department. If you have a rule and regulation that says you should not make discriminatory stops, and you do it anyway, you're violating your own policy.
But there, we know that it's a fact that it happens.
It happens, yeah.
Every
But
single
now you're
day.
trying to legislate that stop.
Because look, because that's the only way we can control
It's not, and it ain't gonna control
bad behavior.
That's not gonna stop, and it's not gonna change.
So what do we do? Just throw our hands up and
no,
just say-
I'm not saying either of those things.
Okay, so what
you
do you
control your department is one of the things you do.
Okay, what do you do?
Between me and you,
Okay.
do you believe that the police department got better or worse after the Tyree Nichols matter?
I've never saw a change.
Exactly.
It's always been,
Exactly.
It's always been the same.
Exactly.
Right.
That's my whole point.
Right.
I mean, man died.
Right.
It's viewed all over on national TV,
Right.
and the department still doesn't change.
And so that's when you get the Department of Justice to come in.
That's why they're here.
And try to take a look.
Exactly. That's why they're here.
Okay. All right.
You know, and that's what you have
Okay.
when departments don't do. You don't legislate that,
Right.
and I don't think that's the proper way of doing it is legislating, because it ain't gonna change.
Well, Darryl,
Yeah.
look, Darryl, remember to go back to law school.
Okay.
There are 3 different ways how you do scrutiny, right?
Yeah.
There, what is called the scrutiny is, it's first of all, it's
Strict scrutiny,
strict scrutiny is the highest one.
right? Intermediate
But
scrutiny,
Intermediate, and then what's the
and
other
then
one?
it's rational rating.
Just rational.
Yeah.
As long as it's rational, which is what that was.
It's not rational.
It was rational.
It's
Darryl,
it's an effect
that if
to
you're going to
pro-
have contact with our citizens over a deodorizer hanging from a windshield, hanging over the mirror, you're going to pull them over for having that, then it's always a possibility that it's going to escalate to a killing
Okay, let me ask you a question.
when you do black people like that.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So let's back into that.
Okay, go ahead.
Is there a state law that says you have to have tags on your vehicle? Is there a state ordinance that says you have to have tags on your vehicle?
Absolutely.
Okay, is there a state ordinance that says that you have to have a driver's license?
Absolutely.
Is there a state ordinance that talks about the tint of your window?
Absolutely.
Okay, so why are we having something talking about this locally? Because if you in fact have illegal tags, you're in violation of a state law.
Okay.
So you can be stopped.
Okay.
You can be arrested. You can be all the above.
Okay.
So what are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about limiting the contacts with citizens over misdemeanor situations turning into a death squad.
Well, you see,
You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
See, and and you do what everybody in society does. And yeah, I'm gonna throw you in the lump with everybody in the society.
There, we never say everybody.
Yeah, I'm
we
saying
never
everybody.
say all. We
Well,
never say.
I'm saying everybody.
Okay, go ahead.
Everybody in society want an excuse for when they do wrong. If you do something wrong and get called out on it, then the first thing you want to do is make an excuse for the wrong that you've done. And you may later on say, my boss, I made a mistake. But as soon as somebody confronts you with something that you've done wrong, the first thing that the average human being does is start making excuses for it.
Give me an example.
Okay. You running late for work. You late for work.
Okay.
Why were you late?
The traffic was heavy.
It's traffic.
Okay, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about. I'm talking about.
And Angel over there smiling 'cause she know.
I'm talking about an encounter.
Everybody makes a mistake. If you make a mistake, if I say,
but there is not a death penalty. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about these contacts And you just said it. You said they're out of control.
They are.
But
you're not going to legislate that.
But if you limit the reasons for it, for contact with the officers, you're certainly going to cut down on the number of times that this would happen.
You
wouldn't think so?
You think when they passed that ordinance, the police officers stopped doing those pretextual stops?
Well, it turns out that when they did the research and started looking at it, it didn't stop. That's why,
exactly.
That's why they were talking to the police chief the last time she appeared before him. It seems like it never stopped.
Exactly.
But that's the way anything is when you first do it.
We already have laws in place for those things.
But we had 1964 Civil Rights Act. We had 1965 Civil Rights Act. We had 1967 Civil Rights Act. We had starting 1800 there.
Yeah, we had.
So why was that necessary?
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of those.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that it takes a while. It takes a while for our behavior to conform to what's going on.
But we already have those laws in effect.
Yes, just like we had 1967, we had 1964, because they had to keep on adding to it.
And that's what you do.
Right.
When the police department don't do what they're supposed to do,
right,
you sue them.
Well, but
that's what you do.
But they made it difficult because of qualified immunity.
Have
you had a case of qualified immunity there?
Absolutely. I mean,
were you able to overcome it?
I've overcome it. I've overcome it before, and I've lost to it before.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
what was the difference?
Well,
if qualified immunity is qualified immunity, how can you lose sometimes? How can you not lose sometimes?
Well, so what you always have to do is establish that the officer violated a known constitutional right. That's what you always have to establish.
Okay.
That the officer violated a non-constitutional right. So, for instance, if, and a lot of times what ends up happening is when we start these excessive force cases, we start them off with.
But they're 1986?
1983.
1983, okay.
That's still 83.
Okay.
We start them off with the point that they arrested somebody and then they hurt them while they arrested them.
Okay.
So the question becomes, was it a legal arrest?
Yes.
Or was the handcuffs, not too tight?
Okay.
Because that's how it happened.
Okay.
Or did they pepper spray you? Or did they, tase you?
Okay.
Or did they shoot you? Any of those different things.
Okay.
Or the reason why you suing a police officer on the 1983 Fourth Amendment violation.
Okay.
And so when you bring those charges under those violations, then you got to establish that the conduct that they did, that it was the police officer that did that conduct, and then that conduct was a known constitutional right, and the police officer knew or should have known of that right, and in fact violated that right.
That's just about every suit you bring.
It is every suit that you bring.
Okay. So tell me why some of them get past qualified immunity and others don't.
Well, it depends on the scenario. For instance, qualified, 1983, first off, it's 1983.
Okay.
In order to get in that umbrella, right, what they say is, in 1983 is the vehicle, I'm sorry.
Okay.
The Fourth Amendment, is what we're talking about, the excessive force, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in order to have that violation, you have to establish, you can't have negligence. Even gross negligence doesn't meet it.
It won't meet the standard.
It won't meet the standard. And this is all case law, and you can look it up.
Okay.
I represented a gentleman that got killed in Arkansas. Okay.
Mm.
The gentleman, young guy, basically the story was he shot himself in the back of a police car.
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. This is a news story. He's
handcuffed.
He was handcuffed behind his back, right? And he was supposedly had shot himself, while in the back of the police car.
Okay.
Now that's what happened.
Okay. What that's what was alleged to have happened.
No, that's what happened.
Okay. It turns out that's
No. He got shot while he's in the back of the police car.
Wait, but I thought you said he shot himself.
No. He got shot in the back while he was back of the police car.
He was shot. Okay.
Yeah, he shot in the back of the police car.
Okay. Go ahead.
While he was handcuffed.
Okay.
That's undisputed. The other undisputed part of it is he had the gun that he was shot with was his own gun.
Okay.
That's undisputed.
Okay.
It's also undisputed that he had that gun on him and he had a cell phone on him in the back of the police car.
Okay.
So what's that tell you?
What about the search?
There you go. There you go. So the police officer failed to do a proper search.
Wow.
And the police officer was disciplined for failing to do a proper search, which means the police officer's conduct was negligent. In order to have excessive force, you can't have gross negligence. You got to have deliberate indifference. And so
3 minutes.
even though that the
That's
police
awful.
officer was negligent,
That's awful.
it wasn't deliberate indifference.
That's awful.
You know, so it was qualified. He got qualified immunity because I couldn't establish that one of them potentially shot him.
So why? I mean, how did that? He was trying to get the gun out of his pocket, trying to hide it or something, and hit the trigger. And so what did the medical examiner say?
The medical examiner called it suicide. But the problem that the medical examiner did, again, they called it suicide. And the other problem was it's an absolute incomplete investigation. Because if you're going to say it's suicide, what do you think they should have been checking for? Gunpowder residue in his hand.
Did they?
No. They didn't even check that. You see, so
it's on appeal.
it lost on appeal too.
My God.
Yeah, because the officer, his conduct, again,
God.
his conduct was bad, and it was egregious. It's negligence.
But that doesn't qualify.
That doesn't qualify
Oh my God.
under excessive force,
Okay.
under the Fourth Amendment. So that's how you get out. There could be a tragic situation, and it doesn't meet that level. Now they are trying to. They are trying to clean that up a little bit.
They're trying to get rid of qualified immunity.
Well, yeah, they're trying to clean it up a little
legislatively.
bit. Yeah.
Because it's a court rule. It is not constitutional, is it?
It's
not case. I mean, it's just case. It's case law.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that has developed.
She got 1 minute.
It's something that has developed.
Over the
years,
cases. Yeah.
It's not something that's in any legislative act or any legislative rule. So, all right, man.
Well, yeah, that was good. But I'm still concerned about the fact that it only happens in Memphis.
I don't think I agree with you on
Where
that.
they determine that we don't know how to run.
It happens throughout the state. I mean, you only hear about Memphis. I know what happened in Chattanooga in a matter. I know what happened in Knoxville in the matter.
Did it withstand scrutiny? Because we should file a lawsuit and take it to the next level, to the federal level.
Yeah, well,
The feds need to come down here.
Yeah, we already got that going on. All right. Thank you for watching the show. We'll see you back next week.
Can you actually imagine hosting your next event at the all-new SVP Bank